crossover on 95.7 The Game. What's up, gents?
Welcome back from Vegas. How was the weekend in Vegas? You guys look way too clean and awake. A Monday after a weekend in Vegas is not supposed to look like this.
Well, I got back Saturday.
Okay. All right. You didn't stay?
I'm not sure. No, I was with my daughter.
Okay.
Nice trip.
Right.
She kept me under control. It was very, pretty under control.
I'm going to give you guys some love. I'm being real. You guys broke the news of Trey Lance. The boss retweeted it because I didn't see it in real time.
Yeah.
We did the show out there. You guys nailed that. Great job, man. That was good radio.
Did you listen on the Odyssey app after?
No, I went to the dice table immediately.
But then how do you know they did a great job?
The video, he put out the video.
They put out the video.
Nahigian tweeted it out.
I was in the middle of a Trey Lance can still work here rant.
Right.
And I was like,
You nailed it.
I mean, I was going into my whole like,
and I'm like,
They were talking about it too, Steiny. Then it was like, hold on.
Yeah.
I was in the middle of a it can still work rant, which if you listen to Kyle Shanahan and stuff, and you've played it twice and stuff, and I actually listened back to it a third time just to make sure that I had it right. Kyle and I are of the same mind, but as I'm doing this thing, Grandy plays the breaking news sounder, and I look at Mark, and Mark goes,
He's gone.
He's gone.
He's gone.
He's gone.
He's gone. You nailed
Dude.
it, man.
Audible.
So the
Now
breaking
you gotta watch it.
and you guys know when the breaking news sounder goes, it could be anything.
Clock.
In this moment, I like the breaking news sounder goes, and I look at Mark exactly, and Mark looks at me, and he didn't even have to mouth it. He was like pointing, like,
You did.
and Mark was
I don't
even.
know if I was pointing
You were
east.
pointing south.
I was pointing
You were pointing
south,
south. It
which
was
is true.
incredible.
That's all. It's also south. It's south and it's east.
Those were my teammates.
Listen,
that was great, man.
And we didn't. Obviously,
That
we
was
didn't.
my quarterback.
We didn't break the news. We Adam Schefter broke the news.
Whatever.
Well, and that'll resonate in my ear. Like I love kind of telling. One of the fun things about that video is I think it's cool maybe for listeners to see what that looks like in real time.
It's about.
And Grandy, all he did, you can see my face. If you want to go back and look at it again,
I watched it 4 times.
watch it prior to us announcing while you're talking.
Yeah.
And what happens to my face
is rare.
Grandy goes, it really, I mean, the chances. So Grandy, all he says, he goes, click, he goes, Schefter. And that's all he said in my ear. So you see me go to pull up Twitter, and my face went like I just grabbed my cheeks where he was just like, what? And then it's like,
that's pretty good,
and that's one of my questions today. The more like, because we got to sit there for an hour and a half and talk about it and take calls and break it down. And I get to the weekend and I'm like, Dallas?
He's no closer to playing than he was here.
That's my big question. And Clarence Hill will jump on with us in a couple hours. Like, I know we're looking at this from the 49er angle, but why, if you're one of the people who was like, fresh start for Trey. Is it? This is a weird place for him to go.
Yeah. Or was his ego, and not in a bad way, he just couldn't. I was a starter last September, and I've fallen all the way off to the third, and now it's Darnold, who I don't think 49er fans, they just hate the name Darnold and what he's been other places, and I think they get mad. But I think Lance was like, are you better being the third in Dallas than you were here where quarterbacks get hurt?
But that makes it sound like he had a say in this, which I don't think that he did. I don't think Trey's agent put this together by any stretch. If I'm Trey, I would have loved to have been to Tampa. I would have loved to have gone to Vegas. I would have loved to go.
Did they want you?
I don't know. The only report we heard of another team that was in maybe the ballpark of Dallas was Buffalo, which is also. I mean, maybe you could be 2 there. I don't even know who the 2 is. Isn't Barkley the 3?
Peterman? I don't know.
I don't even know who Josh Allen's backup is. But whatever it is, like this, I feel like Jerry Jones is playing around with Trey Lance. I think he's trying to send a message to Dak.
Oh, there's no doubt that one. And Mike McCarthy.
And I think he likes it when people are talking about the Dallas Cowboys. And he probably noticed that the 49ers were the lead story for the last month, and he would like to be the lead story. I think that's the way Jerry's mind operates. None of these things are good for Trey.
This week.
Willard, I'll tell you what.
I don't.
Somewhere between Jerry and Ronald Reagan.
I also
Totally, dude.
if Jerry and Ronald had a baby, we call him Guru. Go
I
ahead.
also don't think the 49ers basically. This will sound harsh. I don't think they think Trey's going to be any good.
Oh my God.
We were talking about that in the green
How can you
room.
trade him
Why-
to the Cowboys then?
Well, there you go.
That's
There
it.
it is,
You know?
man.
I mean,
Who
you're-
can argue with
if
that?
if you're fearful that he's going to be
Right.
great,
Come on.
that's the last place you'd send him. That's true.
And is
I
there
mean-
anybody in this room, Dibs, that would bet on Trey if he were a dice table on the come?
I don't
Like you think he's gonna
Bet on him to do what?
ball out and be what
I
Kyle
mean, but what-
drafted him?
Trey,
Yeah,
Trey's
like to be
like
a star?
when you roll the point
Jared
and the
Goff.
point's a 10, he's a 10 or he's a 4
Okay.
on the point. You might hit that point, but more often than not, you won't.
And that's
I
why I
mean-
asked Donnie Friday, when does Trey really, how many times do athletes change this narrative like Trey end up being a Pro Bowler or Kirk Cousins?
Well, the
I
problem
think it's highly doubtful.
This is why if I were him, I would hate where I'm going, because what have we all said now for the better part of a month, if not longer, which is if you're a big Trey fan you're a believer, what you're saying right now is, well, he needs to play. Well, he's not going to play there.
But
He's
it
not
ain't
going
that
to even
easy,
get,
Willard.
he's not going to even
Yeah.
get practice time.
I keep
At
going to
minimum,
Peter King in the 5
right?
years out of the league.
At minimum, the guy needs reps. You don't get that out of the QB3 spot, no matter what team you're on.
Man.
You don't get a lot.
The only thing I can think of is Dak's not locked in long term.
He's got 2 more years on his deal, and he's doing an extension, and has been quiet on the set. You're right. This was a subtle message.
Yeah.
And then he said he didn't call him. You don't have to call your quarterback. But I believe this was putting Dak on notice, but it ain't on notice because Cooper Rush was 5-1 last year when he filled in. But you still have the promise of a young quarterback. But what bothers me, if I were a Cowboy fan or on the Cowboy staff, I do think Kyle Shanahan's a wizard, making quarterbacks better than they are. If he thinks what Steiny just said, you don't have it. Mike McCarthy and those guys ain't going to bring it out of you. Well, that's where I'm at.
It's not a short play. It's a long play. And I know Dak has 2 more years on his deal, but if you're thinking Trey at that point, by then you would need to pick. No, his deal is up.
Yeah.
You would need to pick up his 5th-year option, which why would you do if all he's done
and
is
Trey
practice?
wouldn't be any more exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think it's a message to Dak, but I think Trey's being used to send a message to Dak. That's not good for Trey. You know, and maybe you don't care about that if you're a Niner fan. I don't know if you do or if you don't.
Well, it's better for Trey than being here where you're clearly not going to be QB2 and you're sitting as QB3 and maybe you're not going to even be QB3. Kyle said that he wanted him to be QB3 and stuff, but maybe he actually didn't. And so that's why they traded him to Dallas.
Maybe, but if you're in the camp that, all the Niner quarterbacks get hurt.
They do.
Well, then I would rather, if I'm Trey, I'd rather be the QB3 in San Francisco than in Dallas.
So that he can run you into the ground again because he doesn't have faith in you to throw the ball. He treats you like a running back.
But he's not running that offense
Every time
anymore.
you say that, I nod and I put my fist in the air.
Yeah.
But he's not running that offense anymore. They're running. They had Trey run the same offense that Brock and Sam were running. The play calls. Yeah. How many times did Trey did not do one designed run
in the preseason?
Correct.
Right.
Not one.
There were 2
because they're not trying to win games in the preseason.
They're also not trying to get him hurt because they were trying to trade him.
Right.
There were
exactly.
There were 2 things Kyle said that I found interesting. One was he said basically 2 weeks ago was when we started to see separation.
Yep.
And then he also said, we gave Trey every chance to beat out Sam Darnold.
No.
Like he did that.
He used the word opportunity about 7 times.
there.
Opportunity to beat
There's
out.
some truth, though.
Well, it must be.
They gave him the starting job last year.
Yeah.
Kyle didn't get him hurt.
And he sent him out there to do the
play
whole.
calls
The
I didn't
whole.
like, but
Didn't either.
I mean, sent him out to play the whole first half in Vegas. And I know a lot of people are like, it's the first time he's played in a long. It's the first time any of them have played in a long time. It's the off season. Nobody had played a live snap at minimum since February, most January, most December. So, yes, it's just a hard reality.
Because Steiny said this last year. Kyle called before the season kicked off, all the vets together, the ones that mattered. We're going to try this youngster. I will pull the plug fast, quick, in a hurry if we all can see that he's not ready. But had he not got hurt, who believes that Trey would have been quarterback, the QB1 week 10? Like, I feel like we were
week
robbed
6
of or benched.
Nah.
Like, who would bet that he would have got through it and got better? I'm rooting for him, but now I'm thinking, That dude might not have made it past week
Well,
6.
Kyle played him thinking that he might do that very thing, and that's why they gave him the start, and he said that in the press conference you guys played a couple times. He said, we gave Trey the job thinking that he could grow into becoming a, quote, full quarterback was the expression that he used. And, well, he got hurt in the 5th quarter that he played, and so he never got a chance to develop into being a full quarterback. But what Kyle's telling you is he didn't believe that Trey could be a full quarterback when they started him, but they thought that he could play his way into that. And in the meantime, they thought they could win by doing the things they were doing. And then he got hurt, and so the whole thing was a wrap.
Saran.
Thank you. It's a 4. I love Saran.
And at least my take is that going into camp last year, there was maybe even the development through the process of camp that they were looking for that they didn't see. And that's why 12 days before the season, Jimmy Garoppolo ended up on the roster. I mean, that's, they were, so it does feel like what you're saying. There's no way to know what would have happened if Trey Lance had played more games, but it felt like everybody was readying themselves to bench him sooner rather than later if it didn't pop quick.
And think about this year, what Kyle said in the press conference where they asked him, why didn't you wait for after the 3rd preseason game? And he said, I knew.
Right.
I already knew. That's Kyle didn't know based on like 3 weeks of preseason this year. He knew going into this year, which is why they signed Sam. Yeah. He knew that Trey had a chance to be better than Sam, but odds are Sam was going to win that battle, and they were close and stuff. And it was neck and neck and stuff.
Why
and
you
then
said Sam is an agent? Why would they?
Why would they say yes? Why would they say yes?
Wow.
And maybe they were close, or maybe they're saying that because Kruger asked him after the game on Friday night.
Our guy.
When and how did you you mentioned that Sam separated himself. Remember, he said about 10 days ago he separated himself. He goes, what did you see? How did you come to that conclusion? And I'll just paraphrase, but Kyle was like, everything.
That was that.
Like it was this, it was that.
We said it. Checked all the
boxes.
And he goes, and it was clear to everyone involved.
Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that tells me that if it was close at one point, it wasn't in the end. And I know that's hard for some fans because you get like a quarter of play with second and third stringers in preseason games and go, hey, and you get practice reports where you're like, well, wait, he was 5 of 8 and he was 6 of 8. Like, how is that all different? But look, they're all there and they're seeing everything. And his statement was everybody involved saw that it was as clear as day. And then they sent him to their rival. So, it's tough. I think we get pinned in this with our job, which is sometimes, like we're often giving our opinion, but sometimes.
Speaking of which, it's 2.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes we're just processing what we think the team thinks.
Hello, right?
Like that's what I've been trying to. I've been trying to sit on that branch for most of the year, and I know that that frustrates people because maybe you think that's what we're saying. I think what the 49ers have thought on this has been like crystal clear for a year.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. I do think it's the kind of thing, though, Mark, where now that things have happened like they've happened, it proves a lot of what we thought. Some of the things we thought were right. I think. Like once they got Trey in here, they were like, uh-oh.
You kept saying practice, Goo. They're seeing something in practice. I'm like fighting them. No, stop it.
Well,
they were.
Like, there's this kind of stuff that I don't think most fans know. And you can totally blame it on injury. But when Trey Lance, when the finger injury happened, and this is training. No. Training camp. Yeah, training camp 1. Okay. And he's heading up the practice squad. There was a period of most of a week where it was an interception on almost every play. Like and he was hurt. So you can explain it away. But I wonder through everything that has taken place, because we've heard whispers of this, even some of our callers, I know this guy who knows this guy. There are a lot of whispers that Trey's confidence really got shot and never came back. And if that's the case, I mean, who wouldn't understand that?
But
with this journey he's been on, I don't blame him for on that.
Yeah, which is why when he gets announced as QB3, when Kyle talked to him and he says, then Trey Lance got emotional. Of course he got emotional. No. He was number 3 overall in the draft, and now you're QB3 in year 3.
That's
Take the day off, young man.
And I'm going Atco because I want to put it right on the table.
Do it.
You guys got me thinking now the Niners didn't want to ship him or not give him the number 3 quarterback role. I would tell Trey if he were right next to me, Trey, I've been your biggest supporter. You never once I know you won the Texan game. You're okay. You never once shown promise on tape or in a meaningful game. How could you, and here I go, the rat, how could you let your ego or how could you get emotional on something I now from afar feel like you should have saw coming? And you could have said, you know what, Goo, you're right. I didn't put my best foot forward. I got hurt. But to go get me out of here, what were you emotional about, Dibs? And you just like this.
I think we got to be careful that we're putting labels on the emotions when they say it was.
But they said he was emotional.
But that doesn't mean ego. That doesn't mean, hey, Niners, get me out of here. He was upset. Like that could mean.
So you don't think if he said, "I'll take the number 3 and I'm gonna get better," he would have remained on his team? Because listening to Kyle,
I don't know
it was like he was emotional. And then it was like, get me somewhere else.
It's not his choice.
You're nowhere near better.
Yeah, it's not.
In location.
It's not his choice, and the Niners had been trying to trade him all off season. So I think that, I would only be imagining what kind of emotion came out.
Right.
Is he angry? Is he crying? Is he just
all of it?
Is he despondent? Like I don't know what those emotions were. I never got the sense that he was like demanding something. Pelissero came on with us that day and said, this is not a bleep you situation between the two sides.
No, but Kyle did say that Trey came back to him the next day on Thursday and said, I want you to trade me, basically. I want to be elsewhere. Kyle said that, after he told him and stuff, he had about an hour and a half, and then, Trey went home, and then the next day, Trey slept on it and came back and said, I do want to be elsewhere.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Of course.
There's no path to play.
Right.
But that's why this is such a weird trade.
But he's got the similar path to play in Dallas.
Yeah,
so that's
but you got a quarterback coming off of UCL and Sam Darnold who could stink it up.
See,
but you have a head coach who doesn't believe in you.
That's true.
That might be the core.
And Trey knows that.
Yes.
Trey knows that. You know who else knew it? Jimmy Garoppolo knew it.
Right. Wow. And Sam Darnold knows that, which is why he signed there. And Brandon Allen knows that.
No, but Sam Darnold. Wait, are we misunderstanding?
Sam Darnold knows that Kyle Shanahan doesn't believe in Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
Meant Sam thought he didn't believe in him.
Right.
No.
No, he does believe in Sam.
Him.
No, you're right on that.
He believes in Brandon Allen.
I believe that Sam also, and Brandon knows that Kyle. No. I think they all know how they feel about Trey Lance.
But Brandon's reps got pulled, so I'm thinking, okay, worst case scenario, speaking for Trey, he'll be okay with the 3rd. But like Steiny said, he knew his coach didn't believe him.
Something was weird about Brandon Allen from the beginning. Like, why? I mean, he said more nice things about Brandon Allen coming out of OTAs than any of the QBs,
in the league, right?
And so that
2-7.
That one has always, again, if you want, and I won't call this conspiracy, but if you want to read between the lines, that one has always been weird also, which is A, he spoke so glowingly about Brandon coming out of OTAs, and B, you're think of this now. You start camp, you've got a QB1 who's trying to work back from injury, you've got a fierce supposed QB2 battle where you really want to evaluate.
One of the dudes used to be QB1.
And you're tossing like a significant amount of reps to QB4. Why? Why? We're preparing for this the whole time. Is my answer.
See, right? I mean, if all things were equal and Trey Lance had all the decision making, objectively, I would look at the 49ers and say, well, Brock was a 7th round pick and got hurt last year. And this guy, Sam Darnold's been in the league 5 years and has never really established himself. I actually do want to stay here because I think this is. I bet you had a better opportunity to play here than in Dallas.
There's
in a
no
way.
Doubt.
But he didn't. because Kyle,
Yeah.
he knew Kyle didn't
amazing.
want to play
Yeah.
him.
That's amazing,
And maybe
man.
he
That's
knew he
heavy.
would have gone to Brandon Allen even before him.
Right. And that's what we
Deep,
talked about
man.
last week. And I did my whole soliloquy is this guy's like waving and pointing like he's gone, he's
Willard,
gone.
that was good
I'm
stuff,
doing my
man.
whole thing about,
I
you
saw
know,
you were into it,
dude,
too.
I was going deep for the
I had
first
no
time.
idea what
First
was about
time I
to
got like
happen.
60 seconds, unmitigated,
boy.
That's
no
why I was like,
interruption.
hit the music.
I was starting to stretch out my tape.
Yeah, wrap it up.
I'm like, you know
Crying
what,
out
Mark?
loud.
I actually see the breaking news.
Dibs is
news.
so
And
long-winded.
I'm watching Dibs talk like you don't
Dude.
even know. When you watch it again, he's about to.
Dude,
you don't
I was
even know
feeling
what's
it.
Well,
coming.
that's what's actually one of the moments where the way our building is structured was hilarious. Because Grandy's like Schefter, and I'm like communicating with him. And this is
I
all
can't
behind.
see
This is
him.
all happening behind his back.
Yeah.
He's just like, so this is why Trey can work in
felt
San
I was in your
Francisco.
shoes,
And
dude.
I mean, I think Trey could get some reps with the scout team,
I'm
and you
like,
know what? If
he's not on the team. He's not on the team anymore.
this guy's pointing south, and I'm like, wait, you just got back from Mexico. What's wrong with you? Another vacation? What are you doing?
It was wild. It was
Yeah.
memorable. It was a memorable moment, and it's crazy, man. I mean, here's another thing. You know, Ephraim and I talked about last night. I know people want to do this,
Yeah,
like
I'd love to do it.
well, the whole like, is this the worst pick of all time? And I
Because that's floating around on the national.
well, it's
They
hard.
botched it.
It's hard. They did, and that doesn't mean anything personal about Trey. Their return on investment was horrible, but you're seeing it like CBS did a list, the worst 10 draft picks of all time, and Trey was 6.
Jamarcus won.
Jamarcus 1, Leaf 2. I'm trying to remember.
Mandarich?
Gotta be
Achilles Smith.
Mandarich.
Okay, Achilles Smith was 3.
Black Knight.
Bosworth.
Lawrence Phillips was
Okay.
5, and I forget. 4 was Charles, the receiver to Detroit.
Charles Johnson.
Charles Johnson.
Wow.
Okay, that was the top 5, and Ephraim at first was like, "That sounds about right." I go, but here I don't remember exactly how all those picks came together, but here's what I think: all 5 of those picks
We're dogs.
they were just teams who had that pick and picked it. Trey
Right.
Lance was 3 years of first round capital, toss in a third.
Oh no! So he.
And
yeah,
when
you're
you
at the
put it
top.
through that lens, how is
That's
there
why
a
everybody
worse?
running with it.
How is there a worse return
There's
on
not.
investment
Shasky tweeted it, and he was
ever?
right.
You know?
No, I mean it's
You're
fair.
right, man.
I love when you get into rip mode. Hopefully Farhan's in your crosshairs next.
Oh,
Big
We're
win
fine.
there. Kyle Harrison
if Kyle
tonight.
Harrison doesn't throw
Yeah.
a no hitter tonight,
Dude.
it's over.
I mean-
Okay.
I like where the Giants are at. Their
Do
young
you?
guys are going
I'd
to get
like
some
it if they
experience
had
down
more
the
wins.
stretch.
No, this isn't over. Schedule
game and a
soft,
half hours.
but no,
Of course
it's
it's not.
time. It's time.
They might make it, Dibs.
This whole like win on getaway day thing, so that
I
the
saw
media
you
doesn't
tweet
rip
that.
them at the end. Like enough of that crap. The schedule softens now. Get to work.
All right,
get
you
on
heard
a win
it.
streak
Mark
now.
Berry's Farhan coming up next. Let's
On
go.
95.7.
Tomorrow.
How the game?